Hello friends, in today's video we're going to be discussing .NET 9. .NET 9 is going to be released sometimes in November of this year, and it's going to bring with it a lot of new functionalities, enhancements, and a lot of new features that we're going to be needing. But one of the most controversial topics around it is the removal of Swagger from the built-in templates that usually comes whenever we create a new web API. So ever since .NET 5 till .NET 8, whenever we create a new web API, by default we're going to have the Swashbuckle Swagger NuGet package automatically added to our project. But with .NET 9, this is going to be dropped. So let's take a look at the GitHub issue that has been raised, as well let's see it in action. So as we can see here, this is the announcement that has been made within ASP.NET Core GitHub repo, and it was made on March 18, and basically this is saying that the new .NET 9, it will not be shipping with Swashbuckle library by default. The library will still be there, but it will not be included in the default template that we're currently having. So ever since .NET 5 all the way to .NET 8, Swashbuckle has been included as a way to support OpenAPI, etc. So with that, what they're saying here, and I'm gonna try to summarize all of this for you, is basically they're saying that within the release of .NET 9, the Swashbuckle library is not gonna be added due to the lack of maintenance that this library has had. Although if we take a look at the actual library, we can see it has been maintained for last week. But I feel like if we take a look at the commit history, and we can see on when has been updated, so we can see here all the way through up to 2024, ever since they announced that it's not going to be supported, it got new functionalities. But if we go back, let's go a bit way more back, so we can see here that we have commits from 2022, and then we jumped from 2022 to January 2023, and then from January 23 it did not have any updates until April 3rd 2024. So we can see here that there was like a amount where this library was basically completely not yet updated, and this could basically lead to some kind of a lack of maintenance and could cause a lot of problems. And I think maybe for this reason it has been dropped. But anyway, whatever the reason is, the new .NET 9 release, it will not contain the Swashbuckle OpenAPI library by default. So now if we take a look at an actual project, so what I have here is basically two projects. One of them is running on .NET 8 and one of them is running on .NET 9. So we can see here, and these are basically out of the box default project. I did not add anything, create anything. It's just basically out of the box. So if you can see here, we can see that within .NET 8, we basically have the Swashbuckle ASP.NET Core library installed by default, and this is basically what was responsible for providing us with the Swagger interface that we all know and love in order for us to utilize it. But within .NET 9, we can see that this library does not include it anymore. All we have here is basically the Microsoft ASP.NET OpenAPI, which is basically currently the one that we currently have here. So if we go again to a different structure, so if we go to program.cs and we compare the two, so within the program.cs, both of them are here are minimal APIs. But if we take a look at these 2 points here, so we can see here that we have builder.services.add endpoint API explorer and add Swagger generation. We don't have this here. What we have here is basically add OpenAPI. And if we take a look at the app.environment and development, we can see here that here we have added the user Swagger and the Swagger UI in order for us to interact with it. But on the other hand, within .NET 9, we have the Open Map API. So what does this mean? So if we run currently the old project, or basically the .NET 8 project, it's not old yet, and let's open it up inside our web browser, we can see we got this beautiful user interface that we all are used to it. But if we run the new project, or basically the .NET 9 one, and let's open it up in our web browser, we can see here by default there is nothing for us to use. But if we put /OpenAPI /v1.json, we basically have a default implementation of an Open Swagger implementation, and we don't have the fancy user interface that we currently have here, but we're going to be getting an Open API spec that we can actually utilize anywhere that we need in order for us to test our application, etc. So this is going to be the main differences. So within .NET 9, we're not going to have this nice user interface, but we're going to have the Open API spec available for us, because inside our code here, we have the map to Open API that just allows us to have this. So this does not mean that we cannot install Swagger inside our NuGet inside our .NET 9 to get this. We can, but I feel there's a reason that it has been dropped other than this. Maybe Microsoft is trying to compete with all of the different third-party NuGet packages. I don't really know. But basically, if you want to have the functionality of Swagger available in your .NET 9, you can actually able to install the application. So by simply installing the packages here, and I'm just going to copy paste the reference, it will automatically install it for me, and I'm going to save it. Stop, and I'm just gonna update the program.cs, so we'll get the same implementation here. So I'm just gonna add these two here, and I'm gonna add the use Swagger. So now we're gonna get these libraries available in our .NET 9 application. So now if we go back to our web browser and I take the same endpoint and put /swagger/index.html, you'll be able to see that I have this here available for me. So there is a way where we can actually get Swagger back in .NET 9. As well, we can create our own interface in order for us, or basically our own functionality that actually use the OpenAPI spec in order for us to run this. I will not go into this right now, but it is also feasible. So the main purpose behind this video is just to give you a heads up about some of the changes which is going to be coming on .NET 9 and basically some of the impact that might have on our utilization of those applications that we are going to be creating. So tell me, what's your thought about removing Swagger from the .NET template within .NET 9? Do you like it? You don't like it? You don't really care? If you have any questions, as always, put them in the comments down below. If you have any clarification as well, in the comments down below. If you'd like to support me, please consider supporting me on Patreon or buy me a coffee. With that said, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.